It is I, John underscore Silva underscore, your favorite streamer. Ow. Today we have DB asking, super interested in how and when Gretel decides to transfer from darker low lights to a near black very quickly compared to midtones. Highlights to white happen similarly quickly. How do? So you just do. What you want to, okay, so for the shadows specifically, you want to use the darkest shadows. You want to use them as like either ambient occlusion shadows or cast shadows. Those are the two main ingredients that you want to do to mimic her. I will, however, let's do the face here because it's the most, you guys will like it. Oh, she looks looks like a chibi now. All right, let's take just the face. New layer. All right, so she does a mix of line art initially. Let's just do that. And then you have the face. I have the stupid Naruto song in my head now. All right, you got the face. I need to bring this a little lower because I want to have space. So once you're done with the line art, or you're just ongoing doing the line art, you want to add color under. Okay, maybe this wasn't a good idea because now I'm gonna obsess in making the image look. Okay, so I just wanted to do mainly this area here and the ear area, which is right here. Okay, so under the chin, usually it's very easy to cast a shadow in there, so you want to have that in there. Whether you want to add it before or after you have your flat colors is honestly up to you. It works either way. The same is for like her lips. Let's see here. Actually, I'm not seeing any on the nostrils, but usually you'd see some in the nostrils as well. Instead, you see the line weight being carried onto the edge of the nose to make the button nose pop up quite a bit. Let's do that. So like right here where there's a shadow next to her forehead, you're gonna have a little bit of that. Right, and then you have the eye. The eyes don't really have any. It's just normal line weight being applied. There's no real like reason other than like it's eyelashes, so it's darker. There's really no other reason other than that to be using a deeper shadow in there. Same for the eye here. Actually, I drew this ear too close. So anywhere you see really dark is, once again, I'm repeating myself, ambient occlusion shadows. So whenever two shapes love each other very much, they get so close where you see a fine dark line where light has trouble like penetrating, but you on the other hand don't have trouble penetrating. Not you, chat. And that's the ambient occlusion shadows. And then cast shadows is just cast shadows. You know, it's the shadow being cast by a strong light. Now if you have a soft light, you're not gonna really have any cast shadows, to be honest. All right, so I drew the nose really big, but that's not the point of this image. John, do not obsess in making this accurate. I think it's too late. I think I already am obsessing over it. Naruto stream. No wonder I see ambient occlusion in my parents' relationship. Yes. Yes. All right. So here's the eyebrows. Now in the hair, you see quite a bit of it right there. This is a shadow that's being used in that way. Then you have like the hair flowing out. You see that in the ear right here. Bam, bam, bam. Easy clap. Like the lips. I don't know if I mentioned that, but on the lips, you see that. Usually you see it on the nostrils as well, but I think that the artist just decided not to do it. I'd say these are the main areas. And now, so for the highlights, highlights are pretty much the same. It's areas where so highlights is a bit different, but the same. It's different, but the same. Clap it up, boys. It's perfect explanation. So it's the same in the sense of like, if it's quite exposed to the light, whatever area that you're painting, so like her forehead in chat, her forehead area is going to have, well, depending on where your light source is, right? But in this case, the forehead area is going to have quite a bit of a shine, but also material is what's going to make that, like, from mid-tone or to a little bit light value to like really bright. So it's both things. Highlights are a very particular and peculiar thing that happens in life, you know, just like you, chat. You're my highlight because you're special and peculiar. All right, so we're done with that. Let's do the base color real quick. Now, this is not a color question, so I am absolutely going to color pick. Ban me. That's right, cheating on stream. I'm just gonna do that to speed up the process. And all right, so once you have a base, so the shadows, okay, fine, I'll do it manually. So you're gonna have I personally like to do the ambient occlusions first and then add the values after, but if you don't like to do it this way, it's absolutely fine too. Now you keep going darker and darker until that purple mixes in, or that shadow mixes in with the line art, right? You can color the line arts, which is going to be the last step, but for now, let's just do that. All right, easy clap. You have a little bit of purples, a little bit of blue. I said blue. A little bit of blues here and there. Okay, good shit. All right. Okay, so for the shadows, honestly, for the shadows, it's pretty much it. You just keep going deeper and more saturated, at least in this picture in particular, until you are matching the color of your line art. So that's gonna be up to you, the color of your line art. Now for the highlights, okay, I do need some values here so that the highlights do pop out. Let's do that. And let's do this. There's a little bit of purple here. All right. Okay, I'm doing all of these just actually because it's kind of fun. I kind of want to do it. So this is a cool image. I like it. Okay, you got the eyes, which has nothing to do with the actual decodes, but it's fun, so I'm gonna do it. All right, so now you're missing the highlights, right? And so for the highlights, as I said before, and the recap is to add them depending on the material. So the more reflective whatever you're painting is, whatever material you're painting is, the sharper that highlight is going to be. So in this case, you're gonna have, or in her case, you're gonna have a really bright highlight. I also think there's a bit of a, wait, before you actually add the highlight, I think there's a bit of a color dodge here. Hold on. Yeah, boy. There you go. Wow, I'm such a professional. Look at me. All right, so there's a little bit of that. And there's a little bit of that in here before you begin. And now you add the highlight. It can be just a pure white as you have here, and it's going to be quite sharp. I'd say the best way for you to know this is I like to show everyone the Asaro head. Here, let me bring it up. So knowing the planes of the face and body, blah blah blah, like this, you will know. Of course, everyone's a little different, like slightly, but knowing the planes of the face and body will make it easier for you to know where to add the highlights, right? So in her case, based on her, the artist decided to do it. Is the highlight shape influenced by the water surface from above? There's the special effect of the water, like blah, 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 but the harsh highlights, not really. You see a little bit of a highlight on chin here, which doesn't really make sense based on the light direction, but you can have sharper rim lights from the water around her. So the water around her can reflect and like make some of the edges here, like some of the silhouette actually getting affected here based on the water around. Although I'm gonna be, I'm not critiquing the artist. Like, this is artistic liberty. Like, if you were really anal about this, then you wouldn't have highlight like this intense pure white in some areas. But again, I'm not critiquing the artist. I'm just saying that, like, if you really were to, yeah. Anyways, I'm gonna continue. So there are a couple of areas where I do think it is a little bit much, but you can still make it real or like an accurate thing based on the reflection from the water around her, because it's like pretty stark. All right, so you're gonna have that. So that can definitely affect it. Where are you from? I'm Portuguese, currently living in Poland. And I lived in Ireland and Japan and technically Indonesia for like a couple of months. All right. So, oh, another thing about highlights is that highlights happen, and you'll notice this, highlights happen where there's a sharp curve. So for example, okay, I'm gonna draw something from an angle here. All right, there you go. So let's say we're looking at a step, like side view step, and you have a light source here shining, right? So you're gonna have some light at the top, right? And here you might have a little bit of a bounce light. I'm just gonna add a little bit of light there, and you might have a little bit of a bounce light here too, right? But highlights tend to happen where there's a sharp turn, right? That's why you always see, like, for example, the tip of the nose right here, the corner of the noses, like, generally corners, even if you don't know anything about like light or highlight, adding those creases of like brighter colors or light, it's actually not wrong, and you can kind of guess if you don't really know that much. But usually you'll see those things like corner of the lips, noses, just overall creases. You'll see that happening throughout. Give me a second. Yeah. Okay. Now Silva decodes food. Pog. All right, let me just finish this. I'm at the end anyways. Yeah, so her lips, like, I'm actually just gonna color pick the lips here. So the lips, the same happens where you're gonna have like highlights there. Depends on how glossy. Again, materials are really important. But depends on how glossy an area is. In this case, the artist went for matte look, right? But you're gonna have you'd have your highlights mainly there, and then of course outside of the picture there's like the hair touching the hair floating onto the surface, right? So if I like just take that, you see the hair looks super. This image looks super fucking cool, by the way. So you'd have some of that light bleed into here, etc. But for the most part, again, it's a combination of the angle of the thing that you're painting, material of the thing that you're painting, and actually that's pretty much it. Angle and the angle and material are the main dictators of what's gonna make the highlight really pop. You're gonna have a little bit of hair here. Anyways, so I'm done with this one. That is pretty much it. If you want to do the special effects, you can make a color dodge. Color dodge. You do color dodge, and you just kind of like do the shape. The shape of the waves above that are reflecting onto her face do get distorted by like the shape of the face, so you should follow that. It shouldn't just be random. You need to keep that in mind, or at least the best look for that is to keep that in mind. I'm done. I'm gonna eat. If you're watching the video, consider giving me a follow, and don't forget that Silva Decodes is free for anyone to participate in. All you got to do is follow the thing that I wrote at the top. Chat asks me questions, and along with the question, they send a link, and that link, and then I demo the answer. And subs can ask questions ahead of time. That's the only pay to not wait. But the free version is just be here when I do the decodes, ask the questions in chat, we end the links, and everyone gets answered. I don't skip anyone. So I'll see you on the next decodes. All right, goodbye.